yeah.
That was
Oh yeah.
good.
All right,
awesome.
ladies and gentlemen, my name is Demetrius Angelo. I am the founder and executive producer of the Urban Action Showcase and Expo, where we celebrate diversity and the multicultural achievements within the blockbuster action genre. Let me introduce you to Jeff Vita from Kung Fu Drive-In Theater Podcast. He's going to take over the show now. I'm going to leave you and say thank you in advance for being here. But as you guys know, we're doing several Zooms and all kinds of things with this virtual experience, trying to adapt like Bruce Lee, like water. We're trying to be like
Yeah.
water right
Yeah.
now. But I'm going to leave you with the lovely ELLA-RAE SMITH, AKA Nix, and the incredible Sherman Augustus, AKA Nathaniel Moon. Thank you, guys. Jeff, take it over, my friend.
Thank you, Demetrius. ELLA-RAE, Sherman, thank you so much for joining the Urban Action Showcase and Expo virtual experience. Such a crazy time, but I'm so happy to be able to have you guys here to talk about a show that I miss already, Into the Badlands. But guys, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having us.
Having us, yeah. That was such a joy just to watch those clips. It's so
I know.
exciting every time I see
you in
it.
action.
Now that you've been removed from it for a while, what does it feel like to look back at and see just how badass you guys were?
Oh man. Ella, go ahead.
Yeah, right. I look at it and I go, oh wow, I looked so badass. I was so cool. And I'm sat here in my normal clothes. I don't have any swords. I'm not part of a cult. Life's kind of a little bit boring in comparison. But I do still have a head, so
Yeah, absolutely. That was so wrong on so many levels, man. I really miss the camaraderie that we had with all the actors. It's very rare. I mean, in going back all the way to season 1, it's very rare to have a group of actors with the cast as vast and as huge as we had. There was not one single knucklehead actor. And that is so refreshing and so rare. And when you remove yourself from that, you just miss it so much, So that's my thing.
Well, let's get into the cast then. Not just the cast, but the cast and crew, because Into the Badlands was a unique show on so many levels. Not the least of which was its commitment to featuring diversity in front of and behind the camera.
Absolutely.
So were you guys aware of that aspect when you joined the cast? Did it matter? And did it put any added pressure or influence on your performance?
Ella?
For me, so I joined season 3. I watched the show, so I kind of was familiar with the cast, but I had no idea how it was made. And then I walked into my first day of fight camp training into this incredible world full of people from all around the world training and fighting and doing all sorts of jobs, and Badlands was such a massive show, so many people employed, so many local Irish people, all of our stunt teams from Hong Kong. In fact, we had stunties from all around the world. It was just like this metropolis of all sorts of different people. I had no idea I would walk into something like that, but going into a space like that, you instantly feel comfortable and at home and accepted, because everyone's accepted, everyone's welcome, and I don't know, it almost felt like you just step into a little utopia in a way, safe place,
Yeah, I will concur with that, because season 2, when they introduced my character, basically for me, I noticed the diversity day one. When I stepped onto that bridge to do the scene with Nick and Daniel, and I just noticed the crew. But season 3, when we all showed up, it was one day we were working, and I tell the story a lot. I just noticed, I had a conversation, first of all, I had a conversation with Al about the diversity in front and behind the camera. And I remember one day I was so moved by it that I was getting ready to go to set, and I just stopped, went behind the trailer, and I kind of cried a little bit. I'm just like, you don't see this even in the States. I mean, I have to come all the way over here to Ireland to see a diversity of just a plethora of people from South Africa, from, the middle of Europe. And, it just really, really, really moved me to a point. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go back here and just cry, because you come back to the States and you start working on certain things. And even though you're in LA or Chicago or whatever, well, Chicago was a little different, but certain times you would just see, the diversity was not there that much. Sure, you had a lot of folks, but it just wasn't Badlands. And that's another reason that I just missed the show so much.
No, that,
I know. I went behind the trailer. I was like, oh man, this is so beautiful, man. Oh yeah.
And it's even more important that it's both in the cast and the crew, because having a diverse cast is only doing half of the representation. It's only supporting half of the people. It's kind of more performative allyship and support than actual genuine allyship and support that is at the top and bottom of the ladder in terms of whose face is on a poster. Sorry.
Exactly.
Very,
exactly. But you're absolutely right. It was one of those things. And doing that conversation with Al, sure, they had a problem getting all these beautiful faces there, but they did it. And hats off to the producers, hats off to casting. They pulled it off with it was some problems, but they pulled it off, and that was just great. So I appreciate that.
And you guys did a great job, and the fans all appreciated your efforts for sure. Now, as actors, as Black actors, was there any part of your performance that you wanted to serve as a beacon to Black fans of the show? And I asked that because it was one thing that was great about the show was that you didn't, at some point you just forgot about the race of the cast, and it was just characters, because you guys pulled it off so well. It was just nice to see those characters and get involved in your stories. But knowing that it was such a diverse cast and crew, was there any part of your performance where you were like, you know what, there are Black kids that are watching. I want to be that role model, or I want to be someone that they can look up to and look and see that they can be this if they want to be?
Absolutely. What struck me is the night that I watched in season 2, episode 3, when they introduced my character, someone had wrote on one of the message boards, and I think about this all the time. It said, "Dear AMC, that's how you introduce a Black man." And this is, and I was just like, okay, all right. So it really struck me then. So I just knew that going back to season 3, I just had to uphold that and uphold the dignity. And just, it's not Sherman Augustus, the Black actor. It's just Sherman, an actor, portraying and trying to do the best and give this, reach the behavior of this particular character, and just go forward from there. He's not Black, he's not white, he's not green. He's a guy in the situation, just happens to have, the pigmentation that I have. That's it. I take everything else out of the equation. But yes, I wanted to stand up for that and make sure that I was doing something positive.
But that's the thing, like, there are a lot of problems in the Badlands, there's a lot going on, but there isn't a race problem. And I think that's why when you watch the show, you don't see that, because that just has nothing to do with any of the characters. And I think that's why it feels so refreshing and diverse when you watch it, because it means nothing. It's just who can slice each other up the best, when
Yeah.
the show. And I agree with you, Sherman. I feel like every single role I take, I'm so aware that I grew up not seeing women who look like me on screen. It doesn't matter what the role is. I mean, I don't necessarily want to encourage young women to, swing swords and kill people. Definitely martial arts training if they're interested. It's my attempts to be funny. I don't know if my British humor is getting across the pond, but you're both.
That's fantastic.
Cutting's her business, and business is good.
Exactly. I was like, something's going right here.
Exactly.
But yeah, every role, it feels important to know that someone out there who looks like me will see themselves in me on screen. And that's a massive driving force behind every role I take and every decision. And to be able to do that in a show like this, which for me as a 19-year-old girl, when I got the role, I didn't expect myself to be playing this cool, badass, powerful role. And she is still vulnerable, but she's not vulnerable because of her femininity at all. To be able to portray that and display that, and to be a mixed race actor is really important. It's crucial.
Mm. Mm.
Oh, Jeff, you're on mute.
Oh, is Jeff on mute? Okay, so
All
we'll
right, did you
just
get
talk
me?
about.
Okay, let's try again. So, speaking of all the martial arts and all that badassery that you guys did get to partake in, obviously martial arts played a key role in that show. Now, outside of guys like Wesley Snipes and Michael Jai White, there are a few black martial arts, modern black martial arts heroes on screen right now. Even less for black female martial arts actresses. Were you guys prepared to face the inevitable comparisons, being that you were on this high-profile show, whipping swords around and doing these amazing martial arts?
For me, I come from, I got a background in martial arts, so in Taekwondo, in Kutsu. So that was fine. And I did that because I got into martial arts because I miss playing football. I miss the whole thing about sports and camaraderie. So I got into the whole thing to make sure I kept my flexibility and my strength, and I just didn't need to have all that muscle mass I had when I, my 20s and 30s. So what I was not prepared for was I never took any sword training. So that was, it was kind of difficult, and I had to, really press myself to learn and adapt, be like water, and adapt to the whole thing. Huh?
And you only have one hand, so.
Oh yeah, well, see, that was the whole thing.
Very true.
I remember after I get the hand cut off, so I'm training, I'm doing all my stuff, that whole before we reported to fight camp, and I'm doing it with my right hand because I'm thinking, duh, actors thinking they don't get paid to think. I'm thinking I'm going to get like the Darth Vader articulating hand. I'm going to be able to move my fingers and everything, so I'm going to be cool. So I kept it up with my right, and I got an email from Daniel one day. Hey man, see you next week. You have been practicing with your left, haven't you? I'm like, I just started sweating bullets, and I hit him back. Oh yeah, man, absolutely. See you next week. So now I'm doing double time with my left, going, yeah, exactly. I'm hitting myself with my sword, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm beating the hell out of myself. So, but it came. It was frustrating, but every night when we left fight camp, and I went back to the my flat, I was just like swinging that sucker. Come on, man, bumping into stuff. It was just crazy. It was crazy. But you learn and you have to adapt. And the whole wushu aspect of it is different, a lot different from Taekwondo. The mechanics are different. So
yeah,
it was like starting all over from zero, which is fine,
For me, I'm just remembering your question now. I got so carried away. I think you're talking about comparisons with other martial arts, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you said, there aren't really many women. And unlike Sherman, I was just a regular teenage girl. I'd never picked up a sword before. I'd never done any sort of fighting. So I kind of walked into it blind and learned on the job, which I think is a good way to walk into things sometimes, because I would watch things like Kill Bill and even Badlands and say, wow, but because I didn't know how to do it, it was really overwhelming because I hadn't learned how you shoot that, which is actually really easy and really enjoyable. And one of the biggest joys of making this show.
Exactly.
It felt like this crazy, unattainable, complicated thing. So I kind of just tried to trust everyone on set. I mean, we had the best system on Fight Unit. It was foolproof, I think.
Yeah, world class.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you pick it up as you go along. I didn't have as much time in fight camp as I needed to, but I got better as the show went on, and I learned on set. And just being around such skilled martial artists and seeing how they do things, you pick up on it.
It's amazing, to work with, you mentioned Kill Bill, to work with Master Didi and, the folks that brought you the Matrix and all those things. It makes you want to do better because they're taking their time out to help you perform certain movements. And another little caveat to that, I did this film called Space Marines years ago. And our fight stunt coordinator was Philip Tan, Louis's Tan's dad. So he pulled me aside one day and he said, look, dude, you really, really need to do martial arts because you're good. You can do this and you can do that. So hats off to him. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And, you know, he had the same conversation with Michael Jai White years and years and years ago. So thank you, Mr. Tan. Thank you.
Wow, what a great
So there's only 4 living rooms in Hollywood. So watch what you say, watch what you do.
That's fantastic. Guys, we're going to take a break right here, and I'm going to throw it back to Demetrius Angelo for a quick raffle, and then we will get right back into the Badlands. So, Demetrius, back to you, sir.
All right. We're going to raffle off 2 personal shout-outs from Nix herself, Miss ELLA-RAE SMITH. So what I'm about to do now is simply spin the virtual wheel, and that's it. And then I'll tell you who won. Maybe I should share it because they're gonna say, "Oh, he just didn't do it. You know, he's just making this up, right?" And isn't that people for you sometimes? All right, so I'm gonna share the virtual wheel so people won't like, "Oh, he just made it up." Okay, y'all see this? This is an old thing. Here we go. You see the wheel spinning? It's spinning. Okay, Hockley, Nighthawk Films, Hockley. That's his name. That's the first winner. And let's do it one more time. Who else we got? All right, Matthew Rutledge. Matthew Rutledge. Okay, well, thank you. And you guys can continue.
All right.
Fantastic. Congratulations to the winners. That's awesome. So listen, I want to win. Oh yeah, I guess we'll find out what they won after this, and I'll let you guys know.
They get a private chat. I mean, they get a personal shout out from ELLA-RAE SMITH. So for instance, okay, cool. You know, like Cameo, have you ever heard of? Yeah, it's awesome. Like that. They'll get a personal shout out from her, you know, about 30 seconds or less, like, oh, happy birthday, or my daughter just got a black belt, you know, and she loves the show. It's like that.
Awesome. Okay.
Fantastic. All right, cool. Now, let's getting back into the training. And this is a question that everybody who watches the show is interested in. We have a couple of questions in the chat room about it. Were you guys mentally prepared for the physical toll that the role would ask of you? And what was training and fight camp really like?
Ooh. I was familiar with the show from season 1, and I did not know that some fight scenes would take up to 4 days, sometimes 8 days. The Moon Tower sequence, 30 days because the weather came in. But there was a lot of times where the weather was just unbearable, but you had to go do it. And, you know, your muscles would stiff up and all that kind of stuff. And it was just hard to move in that freezing cold. Fight camp was grueling, but it reminded me of double days in football. So that was cool. And plus I had all of my actor friends with me. We were all suffering the same torture. It was one, sometimes we would like stretch for, I don't know, we would do, Matt Lucas would take us through, Matt would take us through combat yoga for about 45 minutes. And then you're done. You know, it's like, okay, I want to go to sleep now because I hurt all over. So, but we were all in the same boat. So I enjoyed it. You know, misery loves company.
I forgot about that yoga for a minute. I think I blocked it out. It was incredible, but.
Was it incredible? Yeah.
Yeah, well, you feel great afterwards, but I'm not you, Sherman. I'm not a sportswoman. I was so unsporty before Badlands, and I'm not going to lie. I may have told a white lie and said I did yoga before. It happened. So then I find myself doing this crazy combat yoga with Matt, thinking, "Oh God, I've got to be the best one in the class now. I've made this line." With like Daniel next to me doing all these crazy splits.
Yeah.
I had no idea what working on a show like this would be like. It was obviously I'd done TV before, but it was my first real big American project. I'd never worked on something that shoots kind of 2 units at the same time. I'd never worked on action like that before. I'd done little bits, but it was all a complete unknown. Like Sherman said, the Irish weather, we were there in the winter, and it you don't forget it.
Was grueling.
You don't
especially when we got snowed in. That was really grueling.
It was the worst week. Actually, it wasn't that bad, but it was quite. It was
It
like
was pretty bad.
and snow.
Yeah,
Well, Ella,
it was pretty bad.
well, Ella, were you able to parlay all of that physical training into other roles, or were you even interested in that? Now that you had all of that training in your back pocket, did you go out and be like, you know, now I can do more of this now. I can be a superhero.
Honestly, I'm so open to it all the time. Anytime I get any sort of action audition, I'm like, yes, I know how to do this, because I'm confident in it now. I mean, I'm not a martial artist. I definitely can't fight, but I know I can pick it up on set in a work environment. What that would be like without the Badlands team, I don't know, because they were so incredible. My experience with them was so supportive and patient and educational. But I feel like I could do it now, definitely. And I love being able to say, yeah, you know, I've swung swords around. It's like the thing I remind people. I'm like, yeah, I've killed people.
Badlands, brother. Yeah, it's you know, it gets easier, Ella, because I did something a couple of months after that where the lead actress had to give me a rich hand to the throat to disarm me, and so they brought this my stunt double in, and I'm like, dude, they paid you for nothing. They paid, and we were working in New Orleans, so season 1 was in New Orleans, so I saw all these guys walking around with Badlands t-shirts and jackets. I'm like, dude, they paid you for nothing today. So you got 4 or 5 days. You're just going to sit over there and watch. And everybody's looking at me like, what? I'm like, seriously? Her hitting me here? And they brought, you know, her stunt double in and she had to hit me. I'm like, just hit me, please. The more you do, the less I have to work. Trust me. You know, the show I'm coming off of, look, this is nothing, man. So hit me and I will fall.
Accidentally hurt each other once, I think. I
Oh, really?
definitely hurt people. Oh, well, I'm very clumsy. Is that just me? No? Okay.
I think I hit Ching Mei in the head once with you know, the opening, the scene between myself and the widow at the Moon Tower. I kind of hit her. I messed up the move and I hit her in the head with the sword. I'm like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. But that was the first and last time because everything is so precise. Oh, and she was like, it's okay, it's okay. I'm like, no. So I'm hitting. I started hitting myself in the head, like no.
You know, it's funny because Yolanda in the chat room asked what your interaction with your stunt doubles was like. Did you get to know them, and were you like really tight with them because they had to do, you know, what you were supposed to do?
Yeah, absolutely. There's they're the best people in the world, and they had world-class athletes on that show, and you know, you learn something from them. You know, you learn movement from them. You learn the steps from them. So Callie, the man.
The man. I feel like the rare thing about Badlands is that our stunt performers weren't treated below the actors. They were very, very, very much equal, treated with the same respect. And I've never experienced that on another shoot. You know, it's more like stunt performers come in and they do their job and they leave. Like our team are key to the show. They're central to it, and they had all the respect that they deserved. And we hung out with them all the time. We did fight camp. Ching Mei was teaching me my moves. We'd be on set together. She'd be about to do something, a Nix move, and then she would teach me how to do it. You know, like it was like having someone dressed as you who's really, really, really good at doing
exactly.
Want to be really, really good at doing them. And what's cool as well is you look over and they're dressed in your costume, whoever it is as well, because you have more than one stunt. I can't remember how many people were Nix, but there are a lot of people in that costume. There are a lot of Nix.
It was freaky, wasn't it? Because they look just like you and their body type is just like you. Go, what the hell? It's freaky.
And then I bump into, there's one particular woman, Belle. I bump into her all the time. It doesn't matter where I go. London too. I feel like she's like my personal stunt double now. I love her. She's so talented.
Awesome. Was it Marie? Marie's working all over the place.
Amazing.
Yeah, it must have been nice to be a stunt double and dress up in all those amazing costumes too.
Yeah. And those costumes were awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to Shout out to Mr. Lipari.
Yeah, let me get into that for a second too, because when you step into that costume, you've got to become that character. So what stories did you guys craft for your characters to make them more real for yourselves?
Mm. For me, it depended on which costume I was putting on. The original Moon outfit that I started off in season 2 with, I was able to find the proper behavior both times, because the first time he lost his wife and he was just holding up in this place and just minding his business until he heard this news about these two gentlemen who got away from the camp. And just maybe that, I can go and find these guys, and if I find someone worthy enough, then basically, maybe they can kill me, or I'll add another notch to my belt. So that costume was very instrumental in helping me achieve the behavior. When he became a regent, then I had to change a little bit. I had to come up with other little things to think about, but he was more regal. And I'm a clothes freak. So every time I put that costume on, I wanted it to be pristine. I wanted to look good in that costume. Even if I had a fight scene in it, it still had to be really pristine. It's like, okay, if you got into a fight in a really beautiful coat like this in the street, don't get no blood on it, dude.
Yeah.
Cleaning bill, it's gonna be hard to replace this. So it was just little things like that, but it always helped me achieve the behavior I needed to achieve.
What about you, Ella?
Cool. Wow, I never thought like that when I was in Nix's costume. I was more like, how muddy can I get today? I feel like I remember having a conversation with Ali, who obviously plays Tilda, right when we started filming, and I was kind of a little bit overwhelmed getting my head around kind of this new fantasy world that I was entering. Because at first, when you're getting used to the language of a show like Badlands, you have to sort of dissect like Azra. Okay, what is Azra? What is this place? What does it mean to me? And make it all make sense in plain English, if that made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said that she recommended looking at the characters as real people and
Exactly.
taking away all of the fantasy drama and just seeing, for me, a young woman who was indoctrinated into something that she didn't realize was bad, and as she goes through the grieving process of losing Castor, she realizes that this cause that she's fought her whole life for and she deeply believes in actually might not be the right cause, and she might be on the wrong side of history. And then she sees in Sonny, I suppose, the ideal man, the ideal father, not the ideal man in a sort of sexual way, the ideal father figure, and goes to join the good cause and has a story of redemption, essentially. And I think, like, looking at her story like that, looking at her as just a girl who wanted to be good, who just wanted to help the world and realized she was harming it, and felt guilty about that, was how I looked at Nix. Definitely. Yeah.
That's great. Now, so what about, tell me a favorite moment for your character. Nix for you, Ella, and Moon for you, Sherman. But specifically about that character's story as you guys crafted it. Do you guys have a favorite moment for your characters?
Easy favorite.
Easy for you? It's hard for me.
So easy.
It's hard.
I was talking to Babu, who plays Pilgrim. I was chatting to him earlier, and I said, I'm doing this panel. I have this question. I know the scene, and it's the one with you. So the scene in the gift shop of the museum that Pilgrim's cult kind of live in, when Nix kind of confronts Pilgrim about if he killed Castor or not. I have never, in the however long I've been acting, felt like that when I was acting with someone else. Like the way he was holding my face, the power he was giving me through his performance, it was just like I've never been so lost in a character and so unaware of a camera and anything around me, and so completely sucked in and involved. It was just electric. And still now, I think I genuinely feel like it's my best performance. That scene is my best performance of anything I've ever done, probably. And that's thanks to Babu, because he's such an incredible, giving,
awesome.
talented actor. He's powerhouse. So yeah, that was easy.
That was a powerful moment for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I would think it's season 2, the scene with Daniel and Nick, when I'm talking about my backstory, how I got to the place where I was at. That was very powerful. Hats off to Toa Frazier, who just allowed me to take my time and to explore certain things that I had going on in my head about that character. It's hard with season 3 because we had great, incredible writers. So as an actor, I was able to touch on every emotion that I dreamt of. But I would say every moment that I had working with, oh shoot, man, every time I had, there was a Moon and Lydia scene, it brought out the vulnerability in me. And it was just amazing for me to be able to just be vulnerable and not carry this shell, the Sherman shell. I was just able to strip it away and just be that guy, and just be like, okay, I'm in love with this woman, and I want to fight for this, the whole backstory that we had. And yeah, it was just remarkable. I don't know if I'm ever going to have that moment again, hopefully, but jeez, man, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are so wrapped up into it, and it's easy to see that you guys poured your hearts into those characters. So as Sherman and ELLA-RAE instead now, do you guys have a favorite moment as actors experiencing that whole thing on set? Ella, we'll start with you. Sherman's thinking.
Yeah, big time.
I'm thinking too. Okay. Like, favorite moment, not for me as an actor in the show, experiencing the show, so like watching the show.
Really? I think on the show.
Question, sorry.
Yeah, no. As an actor on the show, just as you, ELLA-RAE Smith, being on that set with those people, was there a favorite moment for you as an actor? Sherman, you can jump in.
I think I kind of said mine in the question before, which is that moment.
Yeah, I mean,
Babu, which means I can now flip this and answer your last question properly here and say my favorite scene to watch is the Chow Towers fight, because emotional attachment. It was my first scene. Dean Charles Chapman and I walked in, had no idea what was going on. Suddenly I'm on fight unit. And then Ting Mei is flying through the air as me. And I got like, oh my.
That's awesome moment.
Yeah, and it's also the first thing I watched as well. So as an actor, as me, it's the first thing I saw of me as Nix. And I remember sitting in, the ADR booth at Ardmore, sat in there, and this girl just appears on the screen. I remember saying, that's not me. I don't know who that is, but that's not me.
It's freaky, isn't it? It's freaky. Yeah.
How freeing is that? How incredible is that as an actor to look at yourself on a screen and be like, okay, yeah, that's not me. Definitely not. It makes you feel a different kind of like comfortable with it, Yeah.
I think for me, watching the episode where Orla dies, and it was a long, long day, and they shot all of Orla's stuff first, and so I'm just this giving actor. I try to give. I try to give so much, so I was just giving and giving and giving. So by the time they flipped the camera around on me, I was like dead. You know that feeling, like you're just drained emotionally because you're using something. So I'm trying to use something else and this and that. And I remember saying to Orla, because we're all incredibly close. I remember saying to Orla, look, because she was going to still be there for a while. I mean, to the end of the show. So I remember saying to Orla, look, it's been really great working with you. And, you know, I had her like this, was right before the shot. And she looked at me and said, shut up. Don't you go there. Don't you go there. Stop. Stop. And, you know, and it was just a typical Orla Brady fashion, just telling me just to stop it. And so we got into the scene. And so I was just so burnt out. And this is after she dies and closes her eyes and everything. And so I was ready to move on. And she said, no, you need to have another one. I'm like, what? She goes, no, you need to have another one. I didn't feel you. I'm like, oh boy. So I asked for another one. And then so we got it out the way. And I felt incredibly good about it. And when I watched that scene, I always remember that whole thing when she said, no, I didn't feel you. You need to do it again. So I'm like, okay.
I'm dead with her eyes closed, like,
Yeah, she's straight out. I'm like, what? You're dead. She goes, I didn't feel nothing. You need to do it again. I'm like, okay, you're right, because I'm burnt out. But we got it. We got it. After that, I'm like, oh,
that's amazing.
That's love right there. That's love right there for your fellow actor to say, hey, look, I know your potential and I'm not feeling it. And I'm playing dead. So there it is right there. That says a lot.
All right, now you both played dead on that show, but here's a question that I imagine that you guys as actors probably talk through at some point when you're on a show where your characters get written out of the show for whatever reason. But if your characters were spun off into their own stories, still in the Badlands universe, what do you think that journey would entail?
Maybe.
Well, for me, go for it. Go for it.
Well, maybe Nix goes to Azra. Maybe Nix and Castor are reunited in Azra. I remember Dean and I would talk about that, and I'd be like, yeah, that's something nice to think about. You know, a lot of trauma for Nix going through this loss. It's nice to think they might meet again. And, you know, they would definitely still fight, but they would fight for good. And there'd be like, I don't know. I mean, I think Miles and Al would have to create Azra, but there'd be all sorts of challenges they'd have to face.
Exactly. I think for me, Moon is seriously still looking for Cressida. And I think his goal would be, it would be just straightforward. His goal would be, I'm going to find this woman and kill this woman for doing what she did. And after that, I'm gonna just go back and hold up in the Moon Tower and I'm good. And I'm
Cressida's standoff would be like
exactly.
Whole show about the two of them.
Exactly. I'm gonna find her, I'm gonna take care of business, and then I'm gonna go back to the pad and hold up and chill. Okay, and that's what I'm gonna do.
ELLA-RAE, this question's for you from Angela in the chat room. Ella, fans loved watching Nix grow. They were devastated by her death. How was it to play that scene?
It was funnier than you would think, because there was just this version of my head that looked exactly like me and even had a nose ring, which was my favorite detail about it. That part was funny. The fight, that final fight was, I remember it being really hot, and I remember it being quite tough, but also really powerful, because I mean, this is like very technical, like small detail performance things, but maybe people notice it, I don't know. I felt like when Nix fought with Dark Chi, the way she fought, or the way I tried to make her fight was this very kind of controlled, robotic way, because it was her order from her master, from Pilgrim, right? And then in that last fight, she's fighting against this master. She's free and she's wild, and it was the first time I allowed myself to fight and use my facial expressions, and, you know, like stab and I'm coughing up blood, and it's all just like a lot more facial and raw, and like an emotional fight, rather than she's fighting with her heart for something she feels about, cares about, rather than because she's being told to, because she thinks it's the right thing to do, and because someone can control her. So it was actually really, really powerful. Yeah, it was really powerful. It was just weird when Babu threw my head down the stairs, because we've been so close for so long, and then for it to end.
So wrong.
It was so wrong on so many
Knocking
levels.
it down the stairs. I think my mum is still traumatized from watching that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That was an awesome fight scene too.
So good. It was, I think that, oh no, Chow Towers is my favorite. I'm not changing my favorite.
Well, speaking of Chow, Sherman, we have a question in the chat too from Gary. Season 3, episode 8, Moon had a badass fight scene against Baron Chow's men, and a lot of this goes into how long did it take to prep for that fight scene, and how long did it take to shoot that particular fight? Do you remember which one?
The big battle scene, is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay. It took about 6 days, 6 to 7 days to shoot that. Even longer because they shot a lot of stuff without me, just a lot of the battle stuff that was going on. It was hard because I had to come down that hill on that horse and try to stop that horse on its mark. And, all the fire stuff that was going on was digital. It was FX. But what was interesting is that we rehearsed that a couple of times, but once the motions and the movements started happening, the horse kind of freaked out. And so I'm trying to hold on with dear life with silk pants on an English saddle. And that the horse is freaking out. And I'm like, oh no. So I'm trying to do these figure eights and stand up over the saddle and do that stuff. And the stunt guys were just so cool. They just waited for the horse to land and they would come in and all that kind of stuff. And a couple of times I almost fell. And I remember Pete Miles running over, you look like a pro. Oh my God, I'm like, get me off this damn thing right now. So I got off the horse and I looked at him. I said, dude, his name was Phoenix. I said, like, yo, Phoenix, if you would have bucked me, I would have kicked your ass, right? And so he looks at me and he kind of turns and steps on my foot, like, you weren't gonna do nothing, homie. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So that was really challenging, but that was a fun scene to do because there was so many components and it was so cold that day. We were shooting in the rock quarry and that the cold just circulated and was just going around in a circle. And you look at how everybody else is out there and they're not protected from the elements. You can go to your little warm trailer, but these folks have to stay out there. So it makes you work even harder. So I remember I would not get off that horse in between takes. I would stay out there with everyone else. So that was a really cool scene to do. I really enjoyed that. And Angie Chang shot that sequence along with Master Didi, and hats off to them too, because they're just the best in the business.
Yeah.
Period.
Fantastic.
Period.
I can't believe we've been talking for almost an hour now. So we're going to start wrapping up soon, but I want you guys to finish this sentence for me. I'll start with you, ELLA-RAE. The black action hero on screen is
something that should be just as normal as the white action hero on screen. Yeah, sorry.
Excellent. Sherman, how about you?
I concur, and we need more. We really do. And we need more in all kind of genres. We really do.
Absolutely agree.
It's very important.
Definitely important. Representation for everybody on screen.
Exactly.
We should be at the point where we're not talking about the black action hero or the Asian superhero or whatever.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. It's just someone playing that character, and we love the way that person portrays that character because the behavior is right. That's what's important.
I think
awesome.
A lot of people don't realize how deeply it actually affects us. You don't realize how negative it is to just see one stereotype of one certain type of person on screen.
Exactly.
Until it's too late. And that's ingrained in people's minds. We need to reverse things like that have been done in the past. Don't know if anyone's watched any films from like the 90s, but like in lockdown, watching old films and you just think things have changed a bit since then.
Exactly.
That's not where they need to be. We're not watching things that represent the world that we live in. And that's the problem.
My motto is if it's not going to enhance my career properly, then I'm not going to do it. So, you can look at my resume and tell the kind of things that I'm attracted to. And, there's conversations like that all the time with agents and managers about things that I'm sent. I'm like, nope. Times have changed. And especially right now, it is my duty to make sure I keep bringing forth characters that have gravitas and substance and people can look up to, because that's what I look for when I watch my favorite actors work.
Well, let's play off of that then. What are you guys working on right now? And this will be the last question. So tell the audience what you have in the works to continue to bring forth that energy and that power.
Ella?
I have 3 movies coming out. I don't have release dates for any of them. One is called Sweetheart. It is a very British coming of age LGBT
Awesome.
film. Can't tell you too much more. One is called Balance by Simon Barrett, which is a horror. And the third is a film called The Lost Girls by a director called Livia De Polis, which is, don't know how much I can say about it. So that's it. Yeah.
Awesome. I have a film coming out, a nice indie film coming out called The Banality from 2 young filmmakers. They're amazing, where I play a priest that has these visions of the impending doom of the world. So that's pretty soon. And I can, well, I'm going to spill the beans because I've been holding on to this. I've been holding on to this since last December because I was supposed to start shooting in April, but because of the pandemic, they're shooting now. Yeah, hopefully I don't get in trouble for this. Stranger Things, I start.
Oh, that's huge. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks, brother.
Congratulations.
Oh, thanks. And congratulations to you. Seriously.
So happy for you. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a serious character. So yeah, I'm excited.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. But Moon still lives, baby. Moon still lives.
Well, you know what, Sherman, ELLA-RAE, thank you for Moon and thank you for Nix. You guys were fantastic parts of that show. That show will live on. And I know we talked a little bit before the show. Maybe there might be something coming on later. There isn't any definitive word about that, but we would love to see you guys come back and just have the whole Badlands universe back. I'm going to throw it back to Demetrius, but thank you both so much for taking the time out to talk.
Thank you. Well, I'll talk to you soon.
We are so grateful for both of you. You guys never know who you're inspiring. A quick little story. I'm sure you've heard of The Last Dragon, right?
Yes.
And 1985. So I was with Mike Coulter from Luke Cage, right?
Right.
And
awesome
I said,
actor.
we were at a Comic-Con and I said, hey, Mike, how you doing? Because I did season 6. I'm actually a stunt performer myself. So awesome. I said, you know, Timac. He's like, what? He said, that's the first movie my mother took me to see in a movie theater ever. So you never know who you're inspiring the next generation by seeing Into the Badlands and your characters. You never know the next action star that you're inspiring, because think about it, when we were kids, at least in my age, when I was a kid, I used to take mama's good towel, wrap it around my neck and put a safety pin, come on somebody, and jump off the steps because I thought I was Superman. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So you don't know how many kids are putting under the dark makeup and getting their plastic swords and being Nix, or you know what I'm saying, using one hand and putting on the top hat and being Nathaniel Moon, because
exactly.
you got to realize the power of images, especially heroic images. And that's
exactly.
why we're here. And we so appreciate each and every one of you guys. I'm going to do this last quick raffle and then I'm going to say goodbye. I promised 2 more. And I like to keep my promises. So we have the last winner, and let's see who we got this time. Beverly Falk. All right, she gets a private personal shout out, and Linda Pennant. All right, well, congratulations to all the winners. Thank you again, both of you, and we will look forward to those films coming through. Thank you, Jeff Vita, Kung Fu Drive-In Theater. Hope you guys check it out. And we'll be watching you, and I'm gonna try to put in a good word with somebody to get some more, at least spin-offs or something of Into the Badlands, because we were talking to Andy Chang yesterday. Am I right about it? So we know a few folks. All right.
Yeah.
All right. All the best. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you
Stay
so
safe,
much,
everybody. Thank you so much.
Yes,
we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.